30 years of operating system history changed in just a few months. The war between macOS and Windows is well known, and it's been happening for the last 40 years. But suddenly from nowhere, Linux won the war without even participating. Because when Linus Torvalds created Linux, it was not to compete with commercial giants, but it was created so that everyone could have a high-end operating system for free. So when he created the OS, he shared the source code online, and as other developers around the world began downloading it, it rapidly evolved into a global collaborative effort. Today, the Linux kernel powers a massive portion of the world's infrastructure, including supercomputers, Android smartphones, and cloud servers. But it is free open source software. So how did Linux win the war? Linux won when last year Apple announced the project Container, which is a tool that you can use to create and run Linux containers as lightweight virtual machines on your Mac. The complete victory was achieved when Microsoft also stepped in and accepted Linux. Linux was usable in Windows, but we needed third-party apps like Docker to run Linux containers. But a few days ago, Microsoft eliminated the need for third-party programs. You can now manage and run Linux containers directly using the built-in Windows command line tool. With this, we can use Linux on both natively. So this is a win, right? Yes, but to really understand why this moment is so significant, we need to go back further than Linux. We need to go back to 1969. That's when Unix was born. Unix became the gold standard operating system for serious computing. Universities, research labs, and businesses all wanted it. But there was a problem. They started licensing Unix aggressively, and it became expensive and fragmented. Because of that, different companies built their own lockdown versions. This was famously known as the Unix Wars. Because Unix was so restricted, a professor named Andrew Tannenbaum built a tiny teaching clone called Minix, just so students could actually study an operating system without paying for a license. And it was a college student reading Minix's source code who got frustrated with its limitations and decided to build something better and completely free. That student's name was Linus Torvalds. So here's the twist most people don't realize. Linux was never Unix. It doesn't contain a single line of original Unix code. It behaves like Unix, but without commercial complications. Meanwhile, macOS actually is Unix. Apple's operating system is built on Darwin, and it's officially certified as a Unix OS, and that's what makes this moment so special. The real Unix, Apple, with the actual certification, just had to build an entire tool so that Linux can be used on Mac. And Windows? Windows was never Unix, and Windows NT was built completely independently. For decades, Windows and Unix family systems were on opposite sides of the industry. Yet here we are. Windows is now the one shipping a real Linux kernel inside itself, running actual Linux containers natively. So think about what actually happened here. The imitation beat the original. Linux was never supposed to win this war. It wasn't even supposed to be in it. But 30 years later, Linux is the one that both the real Unix and the non-Unix had to bend to. So the winner in terms of numbers is 90% of public cloud infrastructure, 96% of production Kubernetes clusters, and 100% of the top 500 supercomputers already run on Linux. And now Apple plus Windows 97% market is also inside Linux. So we have seen the victory. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.